Hey guys, it's Miss Slobodian back with some reading from Wonder. This is my 7th Wonder video, just so you can keep up. And I will be starting on page 79 with the chapter titled Names. In this video, we will be moving on to part 2 of the book. Actually, after this chapter, we will be into part 2, where we will be seeing some of Via's perspective, who is Augie's sister. So I am going to start, but I will just do a little bit of a recap. Let's get Winnie in here so we can, she's so tired. So what happened last video, basically they had a picture day and Augie noticed the cameraman making a face when he saw Augie. Oh, you're tired. And then it was Halloween, and Augie said Halloween is his favorite time, favorite holiday, because nobody knows who he is. He can cover his face and pretend that he is quote unquote a normal kid, which he is, but not having people stare at him and know who he is. So it's his favorite time. So it's Halloween. She is so tired. It's Halloween, and he dresses up as the Bloody Scream mask. He decides not to go as Boba Fett. We don't really know why. He kind of just changes his mind, and he walks into a few of the boys in his class, including Julian, a couple other boys, and Jack Will. And since he's in the mask, they don't know that it's him, and he overhears them talking really bad things about him, making fun of his face, and Jack Will is also talking poorly about him, which makes him really upset because Jack is his friend, his best friend probably in the school. So it hurt him really bad to hear that. And so he runs out of the room crying, and that's where we end off. So we have one more chapter in Augie's perspective titled Names, and then we go to Via's. We will still be learning all about Augie, but it'll be through Via's point of view, which is why this book is really neat, that it changes the points of view. So you'll see. If you don't know what I mean, you'll see in a little bit. But I will start with Names on page 79 and let her sleep because she is super tired. Okay. Names. Brat Boy, Freak, Monster, Freddy Krueger, E.T., Gross Out, Lizard Face, Mutant. I know the names they call me. I've been in the playgrounds to know kids can be mean. I know. I end up in the second floor bathroom. No one was there because first period had started and everyone was in class. I locked the door to the stall and took off my mask and just cried for I don't know how long. Then I went to the nurse's office and told her I had a stomach ache, which was true, because I felt like I had been kicked in the gut. Nurse Molly called Mom and had me lie down on the sofa next to her. 15 minutes later, Mom was at the door. Sweetness, she said, coming over to hug me. Hi, I mumbled. I didn't want her to ask anything until afterward. You have a stomach ache, she said, automatically putting her hand on my forehead to check my temperature. He said he feels like throwing up, said Nurse Molly, looking at me with very nice eyes. And I have a headache, I whispered. I wonder if it's something you ate, said Mom, looking worried. There's a stomach bug going around, said Nurse Molly. Oh, geez, said Mom, her eyebrows going up as she shook her head. She helped me to my feet. Should I call a taxi, or are you okay to walk home? I can walk. What a brave kid, said Nurse Molly, patting me on the back as she walked us toward the door. If he starts throwing up or runs a temperature, you should call the doctor. Absolutely, said Mom, shaking Nurse Molly's hand. Thank you so much for taking care of him. My pleasure, answered Nurse Molly, putting her hand under my chin and tilting my face up. You take care of yourself, okay? I nodded and mumbled thank you. Mom and I hug-walked the whole way home. I didn't tell her about what had happened, and later, when she asked me if I was feeling well enough to go trick-or-treating after school, I said no. This worried her, since she knew how much I usually loved trick-or-treating. I heard her say to Dad on the phone, he doesn't even have the energy to go trick-or-treating. No fever at all. Well, I will if he doesn't get better by tomorrow. I know, poor thing. Imagine missing Halloween. I got out of going to school the next day too, which was a Friday. So I had the whole weekend to think about everything. I was pretty sure I would never go back to school again. So that was that chapter, and that was the end of Augie's perspective. Now we get into part 2, which is Via. So this is what it looks like here. And yeah, that's where I'll start. And that is on page 82, and it starts with the chapter title, A Tour of the Galaxy. August is the sun. Me and Mom and Dad are planets orbiting the sun. The rest of our family and friends are asteroids and comets, floating around the planets orbiting the sun. The only celestial body that doesn't orbit August, the sun, is Daisy the dog. And that's only because her little doggy eyes, August's face doesn't look very different from any other human's face. To Daisy, all of our faces look alike, as flat and pale as the moon. I'm used to the way the universe works. I've never minded it, because it's all I've ever known. I've always understood that August is special and has special needs. If I was playing too loudly and he was trying to take a nap, I knew I would have to play something else, because he needed his rest after some procedure or something that had left him weak and in pain. If I wanted Mom and Dad to watch me play soccer, I knew that 9 out of 10 times they'd miss it because they were busy shuttling August to speech therapy or physical therapy or a new specialist or surgery. Mom and Dad would always say I was the most understanding little girl in the world. I don't know about that. Just that I understood there was no point in complaining. I've seen August after his surgeries. His little face bandaged up and swollen. His tiny body full of IVs and tubes to keep him alive. After you've seen someone else go through that, it feels kind of crazy to complain over not getting the toy you asked for, or your mom missing a school play. I knew this even when I was 6 years old. No one ever told it to me. I just knew. So I've gotten used to not complaining. And I've gotten used to not bothering Mom and Dad with little stuff. I've gotten used to figuring out things on my own. How to put toys together, how to organize my life so I don't miss my friends' birthday parties, how to stay on top of my schoolwork so I never fall behind in class. I've never asked for help with homework. Never needed reminding to finish a project or studied for a test. If I was having trouble with a subject in school, I'd go home and I'd study it until I figured it out on my own. I taught myself how to convert fractions to decimal points by going online. I've done every school project pretty much by myself. When Mom or Dad ask me how things are going in school, I've always said good, even when things haven't been so good. My worst day, worst fall, worst headache, worst bruise, worst cramp, worst mean thing anyone could have said to me has always been nothing compared to what August has gone through. This isn't me being noble, by the way. It's just that I know the way it is. And this is the way it's been for me, for the little universe of us. But this year seems to be a shift in the cosmos. The galaxy is changing. Planets are falling out of alignment. So that was the first chapter. That's Via talking. So when she says me or I, that is referring to Via. And she's kind of using the metaphor of the galaxy to kind of discuss how things go in her life. So my question coming from this chapter is, what does it mean when Via says August is the sun and her parents orbit the sun? What does that mean? Because that's kind of a metaphor for what really is happening. So what does that mean? Comment down below, or just answer to yourself, or don't. And what does this suggest about Via? And what does this suggest about the way Via feels? Okay, next chapter, page 84, and it is called Before August. I honestly don't remember my life before August came into it. I look at pictures of me as a baby, and I see Mom and Dad smiling so happily, holding me. I can't believe how much younger they looked back then. Dad was a hipster dude, and Mom was this cute Brazilian fashionista. There's one shot of me at my third birthday party. Dad's right behind me while Mom's holding the cake with 3 lit candles, and in the back are us and Tata and Papa, Grans, Uncle Ben, Auntie Kate, and Uncle Poe. Everyone's looking at me and I'm holding the cake. You can see in the picture how I really was the first child, first grandchild, first niece. I don't remember what it felt like, of course, but I can see it plain as it can be in pictures. I don't remember the day they brought August home from the hospital. I don't remember what I said or did or felt when I saw him the first time, even though everyone has a story about it. Apparently, I just looked at him for a long time without saying anything at all, and then finally I said, "It doesn't look like Lily." That was the name of a doll Grants had given me back when Mom was pregnant, so I could practice being a big sister. It was one of those dolls that's incredibly lifelike, and I had carried it everywhere for months, changing its diaper, feeding it. I'm told I even made a baby sling for it. The story goes that after my initial reaction to August, it only took me a few minutes, according to Grants, or a few days, according to Mom, before I was all over him, kissing him, cuddling him, baby talking to him. After that, I never so much as touched or mentioned Lily ever again. Okay, and then the next chapter is called Seeing August, and it is on page 85. I never used to see August the way other people saw him. I knew he didn't really look exactly normal, but I didn't really understand why strangers seemed so shocked when they saw him. Horrified, sickened, scared. There are so many words I can use to describe the looks on people's faces. And for a long time, I didn't get it. I'd just get mad. Mad when they stared. Mad when they looked away. What the heck are you looking at? I'd say to people, even the grown-ups. Then when I was about 11, I went to stay with Grants in Montauk for about 4 weeks while August was having a big jaw surgery. That was the longest I'd ever been away from home. And I have to say it was so amazing to suddenly be free from all that stuff that made me so mad. No one stared at Grants and me when we went to go buy groceries. No one pointed at us. No one even noticed us. Grants was one of those grandmothers who would do everything for their grandkids. She'd run into the ocean if I asked her to, even if she had nice clothes on. She let me play with her makeup and didn't mind if I used her face to practice my face painting skills. She'd take me for ice cream, even if we didn't have dinner yet. She'd draw chalk horses on the sidewalk in front of her house. One night, we were walking back from town. I told her that I wished I could live with her forever. I was so happy there. I think it might have been the best time of my life. Coming home after 4 weeks felt strange at first. I remember very vividly stepping through the door and seeing August running over to me to welcome me home. And for the tiny fraction of a moment, I saw him not the way I've always seen him, but the way other people see him. It was only a flash, an instant while he was hugging me, so happy that I was home, but it surprised me because I'd never seen him like that before. And I never felt what I was feeling before either. A feeling I hated myself for having the moment I had it. But as he was kissing me with all his heart, all I could see was the drool coming down his chin. And suddenly there I was, like all those people who would stare or look away. Horrified, sickened, scared. Thankfully, that only lasted for a second. And the moment I heard August laugh, his raspy little laugh, it was all over. Everything was back the way it had been before. But it had opened a door for me, a little peephole. And on the other side of the peephole were 2 Augusts, the one I saw blindly and the one other people saw. I think the only person in the world I could have told any of that to was Grants, but I didn't. It was too hard to explain over the phone. I thought maybe when she came for Thanksgiving, I'd tell her what I felt. But just 2 months after I stayed with her in Montauk, my beautiful Grants died. It was so completely out of the blue. Apparently she checked herself into a hospital because she felt nauseous. Mom and I drove out to see her, but it was a 3-hour drive from where we live. And by the time we got to the hospital, Grants was gone. A heart attack, they told us. Just like that. It's so strange that one day you can be on this earth and the next day not. Where did she go? Will I ever see her again? Or is that a fairy tale? You see in movies and TV shows where people receive horrible news in hospitals, But for us, with all the many trips to the hospital with August, there have been so many good outcomes. When I remember the most from what the day Grans died is Mom literally crumbling onto the floor in slow heaving sobs, holding her stomach like someone had just punched her. I've never ever seen Mom like that. Never heard sounds like that come out of her. Even through all of August's surgeries, Mom put on a brave face. On the last day in Montauk, Grans and I had watched the sunset on the beach. We had taken a blanket to sit on, but it had gotten chilly, so we wrapped it up around us and cuddled and talked until there wasn't even a sliver of sun left over the ocean. And then Grans told me a secret. She loved me more than anyone else in the world. Even August? I had asked. She smiled and stroked my hair, like she was thinking about what to say. I love Augie very, very much, she said softly. I can still remember her Portuguese accent, the way she rolled her R's. But he has many angels looking out for him already, Via. And I want you to know you have me looking out for you. Okay? I want you to know that you are number one for me. You are my... She looked out in the ocean and spread her hands out, like she was trying to smooth the waves. You are my everything. You understand me, Via? I understood her, and I knew why she said it was a secret. Grandmothers aren't supposed to have favorites. Everyone knows that. But after she died, I held on to that secret and let it cover me like a blanket. That was a nice chapter. That was sad though. So my question was, is Via, what do you think about it? Is Via a bad person for saying what she said about August? When she saw him after 4 weeks, she was a little bit disgusted. She saw him the way others saw him for a split second and she couldn't control it. She just saw him that way. Is she a bad person for saying that? I personally don't think she is. I think it's something that just happened and it quickly went away. But what do you think of her? What do you think of Via overall so far? And why does Via's grandmother say that Via's her favorite? Usually that's not something you hear grandmothers or parents saying, but why does she feel that she has to say that to Via? Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Okay. The next chapter is called August Through the Peephole, and it is on page 88. His eyes are about an inch below where they should be on his face, and almost halfway down his cheeks. They slant downward at an extreme angle, almost like diagonal slits as someone cut into his face, and the left one is noticeably lower than the right one. They bulge outward because his eye cavities are too shallow to accommodate them. The top eyelids are halfway closed, and as if he's on the verge of sleeping. The lower eyelids sag so much they almost look like a piece of invisible string is pulling them downward. You can see the red part of the inside, like they're almost inside out. He doesn't have eyebrows or eyelashes. His nose is disproportionately big for his face and kind of fleshy. His head is pinched in on the sides where his ears should be, like someone used giant pliers and crushed the middle part of his face. He doesn't have cheekbones. There are deep creases running down both of the sides of his nose to his mouth, which give him a waxy appearance. Sometimes people assume he's been burned in a fire. His features look like they've been melted, like they're dripping on the side like a candle. Several surgeries to correct his lip have left a few scars around his mouth, the most noticeable one being a jagged gash running from the middle of his upper lip to his nose, and an extremely undersized jawbone. He has a very small chin. When he was very little, before a piece of his hip bone was surgically implanted into his lower jaw, he really had no chin at all. His tongue would just hang out of his mouth with nothing underneath to block it. Thankfully, it's better now. He can eat at least. When he was younger, he had a feeding tube. And he can talk. And he's learned to keep his tongue inside his mouth, though it took him several years to master. He's also learned to control the drool that used to run down his neck. These are considered miracles. When he was a baby, the doctors didn't think he'd live. He can hear too. Most kids born with these type of birth defects have problems with their middle ears that prevent them from hearing. But so far, August can hear well enough through his tiny cauliflower-shaped ears. The doctors think that eventually he'll need to wear hearing aids. August hates the thought of this. He thinks the hearing aids will get noticed too much. I don't tell him that the hearing aids would be the least of their concern, of course, because I'm sure he knows this. Then again, I'm not really sure what August knows or doesn't know, what he understands and what he doesn't understand. Does August see how other people see him? Or has he gotten good at pretending not to know and it doesn't bother him? Or does it bother him? When he looks in the mirror, does he see the Augie mom and dad see? Or does he see the Augie everyone else sees? Or is it another August he sees? Someone in his dreams behind his misshapen head and face? Sometimes when I look at Grans, I can see the pretty girl she used to be underneath the wrinkles. I could see the girl from Portugal inside the old lady walk. Does August see himself as he might have looked without that single gene that caused the catastrophe of his face? I wish I could ask him this stuff. I wish he would tell me how he feels. He used to be easier to read before his surgeries. You knew what he was thinking. When his eyes squinted, he was happy. When his mouth went straight, he was being mischievous. When his cheeks trembled, he was about to cry. He looks better now, no doubt about that. But the signs he used to give us to tell us his moods are all gone. There are new ones, of course. Mom and Dad can read every single one. But I'm having trouble keeping up. And there's a part of me that doesn't want to keep trying. Why can't he just say how he feels like everyone else? Why doesn't he have, he doesn't have a trach tube in his mouth anymore that keeps him from talking. His jaws are not wired shut. He's 10 years old. He can use his words. But we circle around him like he's still a baby. We change plans, go to plan B, interrupt conversations, go back to promises depending on his mood, his whims, his needs. That was fine when he was little, but he needs to grow up now. We need to let him, help him, make him grow. That's what I think. We've all spent so much time trying to make August think he's normal that he actually thinks he's normal. And the problem is, he's not. So that was that chapter. This is the first chapter that we really hear a little bit about what Augie's face looks like, and we can start to imagine what it actually looks like. So my question, kind of coming from the end of this chapter, is do you think Via is being too harsh, calling him a baby and saying he needs to grow up, or do you think she's being sensible and maybe his parents need to be more like her? Which one do you think? I am going to read one or two more chapters in this video, okay? So I am on page 91, and this chapter is called High School. What I loved most about middle school was that it was separate and different from home. I could be there and be Olivia Pullman, not Via, which is my name at home. Via was what they called me in elementary school too. Back then everyone knew about us, of course. Mom used to pick me up after school, and August was always in the stroller. There weren't a lot of people who were equipped to babysit August, so Mom and Dad brought him to all of my class plays and concerts and recitals, all of the school functions, the bake sales, and the book fairs. My friends knew him. My friends' parents knew him. My teachers knew him. The janitor knew him. "Hey, how you doing, Augie?" he would say, and give August a high five. August was something of a fixture at that school. But in middle school, a lot of people didn't know August. My old friends did, of course, but my new friends didn't. Or if they did know, it wasn't necessarily the first thing they knew about me. Maybe it was the second or third thing they'd hear about me. "Olivia? Yeah, she's nice. Did you hear she has a brother who's deformed?" I always hated that word, but I knew it was how people described Augie. And I knew those kinds of conversations probably happened all the time out of earshot. Every time I left the room at a party or bumped into groups or friends at the pizza place. And that's okay. I'm going to be the sister of the kid with a birth defect. That's not the issue. I just don't want to be defined that way. The best thing about high school is that hardly anybody knows me at all, except Miranda and Ella, of course. and they know not to go around talking about it. Miranda, Ella, and I have known each other since the 1st grade. What's so nice is we never have to explain things to one another. When I decided I wanted them to call me Olivia instead of Via, they got on with it without me having to explain. They've known August since he was a baby. When we were little, our favorite thing to do was play dress up with Augie, load him with feather boas and big hats and Hannah Montana wigs. He used to love that, of course. And we thought he was adorably cute in his own way. Ella said he reminded her of E.T. She didn't say this to be mean, of course, though maybe it was a little bit mean. The truth is, there's a scene in the movie where Drew Barrymore dresses E.T. up in a blonde wig, and that was a ringer for Augie in our Miley Cyrus heyday. Throughout middle school, Miranda, Ella, and I were pretty much our own little group. Somewhere between super popular and well-liked. Not brainy, not jocks, not rich, not druggies, not mean, not goody-goods, not huge, not flat. I don't know if the three of us found each other because we were so alike in so many ways, or that because we found each other because we become so alike in so many ways. We were so happy when all of us got into Faulkner High School. It was such a long shot that all three of us would be accepted, especially when almost no one from our middle school was. I remember how we screamed into our phones the day we got our acceptance letters. This is why I haven't understood what's been going on with us lately. Now that we're actually in high school, it's nothing like how I thought it would be. Okay, that is all I'm going to read for this video. Do I have a question there? Okay, so it says Via wanted to not change her name, but be called Olivia instead of Via. So why do you think that change was? Did she just want to be called that? Or was there maybe a different reason, a deeper meaning why she wanted to be called Olivia instead of Via? And if you're unsure, keep in mind that she is called Via at home, and she wants to be called Olivia at school, if that makes sense. Okay, so that is it for today. Hope you're enjoying the book. I hope you enjoyed this read. It's definitely a little gloomy outside, so it's a really nice day to do some reading, just sitting and relaxing. I hope you're having a great day and you're staying safe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.